In today's video, I'm going to go into detail about a few key things that you can implement within your business that will allow you to onboard smoother. It will hopefully allow you to retain your staff longer, and more importantly, have clearer and more seamless communication and expectations between you, the owner, and your team. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Ehsan Ahmed. As always, appreciate you watching my YouTube channel. This video comes in partnership with Right Recruit. So Right Recruit is a leading outsourcing company where we look to provide virtual assistants and outsourcing solutions to companies who are looking to cut costs and scale. So getting straight into this, one of the biggest struggles once you've gone past the interview stage, once you've found somebody you like, once you've found somebody who is, willing to come on board, someone you're willing to work with, one of the biggest struggles that you're going to face is, number one, making sure that everything is aligned in terms of duties and responsibilities. But number two, and more importantly, how do you track that? How do you keep on top of these metrics? How do you keep on top of the expectations and the duties and responsibilities that you have of that employee, excuse me, and also of what they have for yourself? It's very, very important to ensure that transparency is key. And what I'm going to tell you today will allow for that to occur. So the first thing that we do is we ensure that there is a clear written outline of the duties and responsibilities of that employee on a task by task basis. And so this can be as simple as creating a spreadsheet where you write down every single task you want that person to do in accordance with the role that you have hired them for. Okay. Now, some of these tasks may be a little bit outside of the boundaries of that specific role, and that's absolutely fine. I think if you set off on the right foot and you make that clear from the get-go, nobody should have a problem with that. And if they do, that's something that you can iron out at this initial stage. The next stage is going into depth as to when you want those done. Okay, so it's one thing having a task, but it's another thing writing out your expectation of when you want it done and how often you want it done. So for example, you need to clarify whether the task is a daily task, whether it's a weekly task, whether it's a one-off monthly task. It's very important to have that written down. And that leads us on to the second bit of this, which is where you have a rota. And that rota is effectively a week's plan, which is sort of overlooked and overviewed on a monthly basis. And what we do is within the rota, you're going to write down sort of the key tasks as per what you've already written down, and you're going to box them off in a rota in accordance with the working hours. Okay. Now, it's not critical that everything is stuck to by the minute. I want to express that. You're going to have some employees who you agree to have a little bit of flexibility with, etc., and that's absolutely fine. But it's more so about ensuring that things don't get missed. And in order to make that a seamless structure, then what we do is we move on to the next stage of this, which is where we effectively, for each of these tasks that we have, we make a video recording of the task being done and explained in real time to the person who's being hired or somebody who's been hired previously in the same role. Once you have something like that, you now have a rota and you now have a recorded demonstration live of that task being done, which means that the employee in question now has a reference point and doesn't have to come back to you for every little question. And in that video, what you would also do is you would ask questions, and so it's all recorded. And to make it even better, the employee could be the person who goes back, watches the video, and makes solid notes that are there and act as effectively systems and procedures. So now you have a rota, you have a clear definition of the tasks that need to be done and when, and you've also got a training manual which goes into detail via video form as well as written form about the task, how it's done, systems and procedures. The last thing which I would advise, is having KPIs. Okay, so KPIs are basically a daily um, diary of sort of what you expect done in accordance with the rota. I.e., you may have task X in the rota that requires 20 emails to be sent out. Okay, so if that's in the rota and that's clear, then and that's a task on Monday, then the KPI for Monday would indicate, okay, out of 20 expected, you did 20. You know what I mean? So it's basically a daily measurement and accountability of the task that's there in the rota and the performance that was done in accordance to that rota. By doing it this way, we now have a very streamlined process of accountability with an ease of video training that's always accessible. And more importantly, you've got defined expectations, which means that the employee is onboarded a lot happier. You know that you've given all of the resources required to that employee. Obviously, there's going to be ongoing training, etc., etc. But more importantly, you're in a situation now where you're now hands off with that employee to the extent where they know what they're doing, how they're doing it. The rest is on them. Hopefully, that benefits you guys. It's definitely benefited our business. It has allowed us to have a lot more seamless communication, more transparency within our passover of systems and structures. But more importantly, it's allowed us to build and scale on the positions with a solid foundation. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. See you in the next one.